we are going to get started with Broker Connect. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So Broker Connect happens once a month, and it's a great way for ARIVE users to share why they chose ARIVE, some business strategies that they have in place to help them grow and streamline their business. So I'm going to kick it off to our CEO, Harish, who's going to introduce our guest this week.
Thank you, Brianna. So very nice to meet everyone. Thank you so much for your time. It's really exciting to participate with the community in these sessions, share knowledge, talk about what's happening in ARIVE, get any feedback, how others are using it, some best practices. I'm very grateful to our host today. We have Angelo Datseris.
There you go. You got it. I love it.
He said people call him dead serious, so maybe we'll see how this goes. And Dan Smith, thank you again, both of you, for taking the time to talk about your experiences of using ARIVE, how you came on ARIVE, anything you have learned you would like to share. And with this, maybe we can start with Angelo, you first, to kind of give your overview of, since you came before Dan, as I know.
Yeah.
Actually, you brought him in.
I did. I brought him in. I did. I brought him to the dark side. Yeah. So my name is Angelo Datseris with Leverage Lending Group here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So how I got started with ARIVE, that's what you want me to talk about, right, Harish? But how we kind of got started. So I was using Calyx Point before, and prior to ARIVE it was the original iteration of ARIVE, right? Which I was really looking forward to. This is ARIVE Next. I was really looking forward to it because I wanted like an all-in-one where I could use different lenders, because it was the idea of the first ARIVE was phenomenal, and I was waiting, like biting my nails, waiting to get the ARIVE, and it did fall flat, right? And so I was like, I just can't do that right now. And then fast forward, gosh, it was I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, I forget exactly how long it was from the first to then this new one. And I wanted something. I was using Calyx Point, right? And I wanted something different than Point. Point was archaic. They've never really done anything with it. I've been in the business 18 years, and I've been using Point for literally 18 years, and so I was wanting something different. It was time to switch, and I demoed probably every single platform out there, and I just wanted it to be perfect for what I needed it to do. And one thing I was like, I couldn't break for me, my loan comparisons, like for in Point, was like tying me to Point. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that anywhere else, because nobody really had that. Well, ARIVE did have it, and I think they made some changes right after I got on board where I could do the loan comparisons and send it to my clients, which is huge. Anyways, as soon as I don't know how, I was about to take Lending Pad. I took the demo for Lending Pad, but it was, to me, getting everybody else on my team on board with Lending Pad, it was kind of hard for me to figure out Lending Pad, and I consider myself somewhat of a techie guy. And so I got on the phone with Tara, and she's like, hey, let's just give me 20 minutes, right? Give me 30 minutes of your time. Let me just show you ARIVE. And within 10 minutes, it didn't even take her that long. I was like, holy cow. I was like, this is nothing like the original ARIVE, because that's what I was expecting. This ARIVE Next was completely different. It was like supercharged, right? And I'm not saying this to, we don't get paid to say this. This is something that was really serious for us, Dan included, when we're going to make a transition to a new loan software from something that we've been doing and we know that we like the back of our hand. It had to make sense. It wasn't just going to be, you can't just go from loan system to loan system. You be out of business. So when I got on ARIVE, just the snappiness from page to page was incredible. And not only the fact where I was using Calyx Point, I had Flowify, right? And so Flowify would then come into Calyx Point, and then I'd have to download all the documents from Flowify and then put them into the document manager. So the time drain that took, I didn't realize it because I didn't know any better. But as soon as I saw ARIVE system where it was all in one, and the doc manager, I was like, it was just literally a no-brainer for me to switch. And that's when, and so I kind of made a deadline for myself as of January 1st this year. I said, I'm going I'm going to kind of slowly get myself acclimated with ARIVE, and then Jan 1, everything moving forward since then is going to be ARIVE. Now, Calyx Point didn't do me any favors because they wouldn't allow me to download all of my 3.2 files. So I had to manually, that was the, you know, with Calyx Point, you just can't pull out a 3.2 file without exporting it individually, each one, which was kind of a pain. So, I mean, I have my old point files on a server, you know, saved in case somebody need to access it. But it was literally because then we got so busy with, you know, with COVID, when rates dropped, I was like, I would have never made it. I would have never been able to do the volume that I was doing if I was on Calyx Point. So that's kind of how I got started on Calyx, and it was just the snappiness, the all-in-one, the support as well. It's like you have a support group. With Calyx Point, you may be able to get somebody on the phone. You may get some, you know, admin that would try to fix your issue, and it won't be fixed, and then they'll create a support ticket, and you'll never hear from them again. You can legit get somebody on the phone, you know. I won't give Tara's cell number out. She told me not to, but she's like, don't give this out. But I've called her a few times, you know, and she answered my questions, and I was like, that's why I called Dan. I'm like, Dan, look, bro, you got to check out ARIVE, man. You got to check out ARIVE, and I'll let him take it from there. So
Dan, go ahead.
Wait, are we out of time? Is there any time left for me to talk?
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited about ARIVE. I'm excited to see.
No, Angelo was all over me to use this thing. He was hitting me up, and we were going back and forth all the time. We were both, I would say, power Calyx users. I highly doubt there's anybody out here in the broker community that was more in-depth and involved and dedicated to Calyx than we were. I've been using it for 20 years. So every little in and out, I knew that program forward and backwards. One of the things I really loved about it when an application was 4 pages was that an application looked like an application. So that was kind of the beauty of Point in the beginning, the simplicity. It looked like an app, it acted like an app. You could go through it really quick. Well, you know, when an app turns into 55 pages, it just doesn't work that well anymore. So the format that ARIVE uses, the question answer based format, and it telling, in the program telling where all that data is to flow on the new application is really just the best part of ARIVE. I just love that. To be honest, I don't even look at the new applications now. I don't want to look at the new applications. Anytime I have to print one of those out to send it to an investor, I just think, thank God I'm not in Calyx anymore. All this data. So I would have no idea whatsoever where this stuff would even go. It's frightening. Is anybody just to find your payment on that thing is a nightmare, let alone all the other data. So Harish, man, kudos to you, man. The way you put this thing together and the way that data flows so simplistically onto the app. I prefer the POS is amazing. I like to talk to my clients, do a little quick interview so I can ask those kind of in-depth questions like, you know, are you obligated to pay child support, alimony, separate maintenance, things like that to pull out that little extra info so I know specifically what their needs are. That being said, to do an application to almost 100% completed with a borrower on the phone, 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I am from beginning to end done. And then it's, hey, I'm going to generate that auto-generated doc list that I built myself inside of ARIVE that, you know, it's based on what I think the most likely needs are. I just hit auto-generate. I send that out to the client. Boom, it is so clean. I love the way it comes back. I love the way we're notified when clients send stuff in. Calyx had a rudimentary doc collection system.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was a one and done. Like you sent it out the first time, and then I don't even. Angelo, did we even get notified when stuff came back?
No.
it was so crazy. It was poorly executed. But you know, I've loved my experience with ARIVE so far, and Harish has put up with me for the last 6 months. I'm sure when Angelo invited me into this group, And then I started hitting up Harish on his Facebook page. I think he was just like, oh my God, who did he invite into this? But he was always so responsive to me, and to some of the suggestions that I've had, and the advances and the things that you do and the way that this thing is updated almost bi-weekly.
Right.
It's just amazing. Just see how far this has come since, I want to say I signed up. I think I started putting files in March 1st, right around there. But just between that time frame and this time frame, it's just unbelievable how far this project has come. When we're talking software, that is an incredibly short amount of time to make these kind of advances. So it's been just fantastic. And by the way, Calyx is hitting me up like crazy now with emails. And it's kind of funny now that they're back up and running. We couldn't get them to answer the phone for 4 months when the new ERLA was coming out. So I can imagine anybody's keeping a whole lot there. I have chosen to keep a couple seats open in Calyx, but it's just for those old files that we have as well.
Yeah.
And that's something maybe we can talk about in the ARIVE group as a whole. Is like, I think it's one of the number one questions for people coming from these other origination systems, especially Calyx, is how do we migrate that data? Now, me personally, I don't want to move in all these old loans.
Right.
And plus I don't want to bog down Harish's system with 10 years worth of old files. So I'm thinking, Harish, maybe in the future, that's something we could discuss is what would be a good way for people to deal with that? Maybe export all their 3.2 files into some server they keep, aptly named, and then when needed, they pull them in one by one. I'm sure we'd come up with some sort of solution for that. But I know that is one of the things that really scares people coming over from these other systems is what about our old stuff? What about our old stuff? So I'm sure we'll figure out we're not going to get any help from Calyx on this, folks. If
No.
Calyx users out there, Calyx is not going to come to the rescue on how to do this. It's going to be up to us as a group to figure out the best way to do that. And we all will. And then as always, everything will get shared amongst everybody. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to use your software.
Yeah, no, thanks. So I do want to touch upon a couple of pointers. When Dan came in, he was pretty passionate about some of the things he missed. There is no tracking. And so we appreciate Dan. All that feedback is very motivating because, the engagement of users and the feedback you bring in, as you rightly said, I think we believe we are just getting started. This is only our first year in business, as everybody knows. This is a new platform. We have been building this for a while, but we just launched this late last year, and I think we are at a very early stage. You'll see a lot more improvements coming in next 6 months and 1 year. We want to be the only platform in the broker channel which gets used. That's kind of our objective as we see it. But we appreciate all the comments you made. As you see, a lot of your feedback did get incorporated because they were great suggestions, and just keep them coming. And this is for everyone. If anybody, I'm hoping everybody is on our Facebook group, but if there is any thought or any idea, any critique, anything you miss, because, as I said, we are early in the game. Calyx has been around for 30 years. So they have matured their product to a level where they have, and we may be less in functionality, but like Dan mentioned, we do it really well. So the area of focus is how do we build something which is so well executed so users don't have to think about, the system guides them to what is to be done next. So that's kind of how we take it. So
yeah.
What do you?
I'll say, and thank you both for your introductions. I want to let everybody know that's on this call today. You can unmute yourself to ask questions, or you can type them into the chat. We have some questions starting to roll in. Feel free to interrupt, ask your questions. This is just an open conversation, so we want to hear from everyone. All right, so a question that we've got, can you organize your pipeline by last name of primary borrower? Would you both like to talk on how you've organized your pipelines?
You can go ahead and on that, Dan. You're probably a little bit more.
I thought that was a big deal initially. So that's probably a Calyx user. I mean, sorting by last name, it might be nice to have a little thing at the top of ARIVE to say click sort by last name. But what you're going to find, the best part about ARIVE is the fact that it's the most recently worked files are always at the top.
Yep. So
it's something that I thought I needed. Sorry, it's my Guns N' Roses ringtone, if anybody heard that. You'll find that it's just not necessary. I really love that the recently used files flow to the top, because sometimes I get so busy throughout my day, like everybody else, I might be working 4 or 5 different files. I had a new guy call in. I'm working on that file. I jump to these 3 other files. And then I go, oh, crap. Who is that borrower? I can't remember the name. My short-term memory loss is just gone. And I go, oh, wait a second. I'll just go back to the loan pipeline. And there it is, the 5th one down. I go, wow, there it is. That's the guy's name that I just forgot. It wouldn't have done me any good to be able to sort my last name because I didn't remember.
Right.
So it might be nice to have like a little button up there where you could do that if needed. But I think what you'll find is that because recently used stuff flows to the top, it's always there. And if you need to look for a specific name, you just do a quick search, type in the first 3 letters, boom, it pops up right away.
Yeah, the same goes for me. It's always on the top when you're using, recent files. And it's easy if I'll need to be like, oh, that application came in. If I read it in my inbox and I didn't unread it so I can go back to it, I just go into my created date within the last 30 and I scroll down and it's in there. And so it's just very easy. It's seamless to do that because I've forgotten, just like Dan, we're old guys over here, forgotten the last names and like, gosh, oh God. And then you're just kind of scrolling, oh, there it is. So it's really easy. And sometimes too, when you search for first name, it's like, I don't know. I remember first names more than last name. So even if I have 4 marks, I'll be like, okay, that's the mark so-and-so that I worked on 2 days ago. So
that's true. I didn't even know you had a last name.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Wonderful. We have some people asking about call reports. Would you guys like to touch on call reports in ARIVE?
Oh, I mean, Dan, I'll let Dan talk first.
Call reports. That's tough one. I was actually really good at them with Calyx, but I'm a strong Excel user too. So I would put the stuff, I created a custom report in Calyx, I exported out in Excel, and then I sorted, but it was complex. I mean, it's hard. A lot of people really, really struggle with it. The call, I can't even imagine the amount of work that Harish and his team went into to make these call reports work. Because if a loan amount started at X dollar amount and then it changed to X dollar amount prior to closing, for their system to track all that is just amazing. I would say for all the folks watching, you gotta, all those boxes that are marked in the data tracking field that are MCR, they have MCR check boxes next to them. Make sure that you are, excuse me, I'm actually opening this up while I look at it, so I have it. Make sure you're marking all those boxes off appropriately. If you do that, it's gonna be pretty foolproof. Your first transition over might be a little bit tricky. So you wanna try to, maybe I would pick a quarter, the beginning of a quarter to start pushing everything into ARIVE. So you're gonna have crossover reports. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do about that. When you move from Calyx to ARIVE or any other platform, you're gonna have some data. It's just not gonna be in ARIVE to be reported, and it's gonna stay in that system. So when you do this, just make sure you keep those things separate. Don't have borrowers over here and borrowers in ARIVE at the same time, and try to run call reports. You're gonna mess yourself up. Biggest thing to remember in your call reports is when you're looking at them is what the NMLS is really keen on is not so much the data in the middle. It's looking at number or the loans in process at the beginning has to match the loans in process at the end of the previous quarter. That is the red flag for NMLS. If those do not match, if they don't flow over in the same number of apps and everything, that's going to be the red flag. So don't, for instance, say archive a loan that had already been reported in last month's call reporter. It's going to throw off this month's call report. So you got to watch that. I'm still getting better with how ARIVE does it. And part of that is me letting go of the control because ARIVE literally does it all for you. It's just a click of a button, but it's all about getting those MCR dates right. And Harish said something you and I talked about before is maybe one in-depth video on the best way to be doing that data entry on those MCR dates so that, the do's and don'ts, so that people are doing that part right, because you can't back up that train if you do it wrong. So that might be a good one maybe cover in the future, but so far, so good.
Yeah, so that's a great suggestion. I think we do have some tutorials, but maybe we'll create a video on do's and don'ts. And to your point, Dan, this idea of tagging some dates as MCR came from one of the community members. They said, how do I know which dates contribute to MCR?
It was one of those.
And also on MCR, there is a lot of questions about should it have to be trade complete and not trade complete and pre-approval. So again, we are not a compliance company. So we give this option to you for, like, I think a month back, you have a checkbox that can be checked that says only consider trade complete apps or apps which have 6 bits in call reports, or you can count your pre-approvals if credit is full. Different states have different requirements, if you will. And I called NMLS many times myself, said, help me understand your requirements. And it's never easy. They say, talk to all the states. I said, I'm not calling 50 states to understand what goes in there. So, and we have talked to compliance companies, and it's a little bit, gray area, as they say, what really, but as Dan said, as long as you're tracking, what's coming in and what's going to the next quarter, those numbers match. You're not archiving loans. If they were adverse, keep them in the adverse status so they show up in your call report. Those things are really important. So Angelo, you also use the call report feature. We put a lot of
for
time
sure. I use the call report as well. I mean, coming from Calyx, there was always something in the call report that for Calyx, I'd have to run it. And then there was something that I didn't, a drop down that I didn't check in Calyx, or there was always something that was wrong, screwing up my call reports. And sometimes it would take me hours to get it right. And it's easy with the ARIVE interface because you have that now with the MCR. And initially you didn't have that, and see that's how awesome the development team is. We talk about enhancements that wasn't there when I started using ARIVE. It's there now. You go to the audit and date screen, you plug it in there, and it's done. And so you run the report, and it's right. So it has. I think I ran in my first quarter because I started ARIVE January 1st. Going to till now, but I ran my first call report, and I don't think I had any errors. I was like, wait, this can't be right. I had to do something wrong with this, but it came over. All the numbers were correct. I was like, holy cow! Because I would spend hours making sure everything was right, because I'd get all these errors in in the call report and all that, and now I can just upload the XML file, which you couldn't do that with Calyx. You had to basically copy and paste, the numbers in there from Calyx, because it was just an Excel file that you downloaded, and you had to copy. You'd zero everything out with Calyx, and then you'd have to put the numbers in. So it's just light years ahead of what Calyx was.
You guys have mentioned a couple times the updates that ARIVE does bi-weekly, and the way that we do those updates. Can you talk about some of your favorite features in ARIVE?
I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, some of the stuff catches me by surprise.
What caught me yesterday by surprise? Yeah, I was like, oh, there it is. I knew it was coming, and it's there. They didn't even tell us it was happening. It just happened.
I especially like when it's something I might have actually suggested, and it pops up, and I'm like, wow, is it me that got that? But then I realize there's like probably 500 other people asking for the same thing. But I do feel special.
As you should. So what were some of the things that you asked to implement that you've seen in the system? And for everybody who's newer to the system, we do have an email, feedback@arrive.com. If there's something you would like to see changed or different or updated, please email us and we're happy to look at it.
I was one of those people really pushing for, hey, exactly what dates should we be marking for the MCRs?
Yep.
So I was one of the people pushing real hard for that. Honestly, there's a lot of things that Harish has, I mean, not just my ideas. I think they're the group as a whole offering them, and I just happen to be one of the other ones that did as well.
The rounding up feature, Dan, that we talked about, the rounding up for the taxes, insurance, and all that was one of them.
Yeah. There's just so many things they've done. The document management, that was a huge one. I remember telling Harish, hey, it'd be nice to be able to edit these documents
in the needs
list before I go and transfer them over into the documents. And he was on it. I mean, literally, Harish, I think he implemented that within days. That wasn't even bi-weekly. I think it was literally just a few days after you and I briefly chatted about it online, and he made those changes. And so, yeah, it's things like that, you know, just listening to what we're saying. And Arish, I love the fact that you do not have an ego about you. You're so welcoming to any sort of criticism whatsoever. And I think that's why the product is evolving so quickly, because you don't ever dig your heels in. You don't ever argue and think you've got it right, we've got it wrong. I like the way your ears are always out and listening. You're inviting this sort of thing. And I think that's why part of the reason, you know, ARIVE just advancing so quickly.
Thank you. I think I'm getting a little unfair praise. So I have a team of 60 employees right now. We were about 30. So they're all, you know, all in. So we look at every feedback, like Brianna mentioned. So anything that comes in gets scrutinized. We have every week, 2 times, we go through every list. You know, we spend hours looking, we look at a lot of analytics that comes back from all your tricks where our users frustrated. So there's a whole team, you know, there's a whole machine behind this momentum, which kind of churns this out. So I'm just out there posting on Facebook. How about that?
I don't know how you have the time to do it, Harish. There's, you know, all those questions and answers, and I'm like, God, he's developing and he's doing it. Like, how does he do it? I just don't get it. The one, I mean, yeah, I think this, I either noticed it yesterday or the day before yesterday, but it was the credit order. Well, we can go in there now and we can merge, unmerge within, and we can pick one of the bureaus. Because I was like, I didn't actually request that, but I was thinking that over the last couple of months, I'm like, yeah, I should send Harish, I should, you know, add that into the form. And then voila, it's just, I was like, oh, somebody requested it, and now it's done. So you can go in there, merge, unmerge, you know, just pick 1 or 2 bureaus. So that, I mean, that's great. It literally wasn't there. And then I logged in yesterday. I think it was yesterday to pull credit, and I was like, I'll be damned, it's there. So thanks for that.
Yep.
So we do have a question that asks, are there any advancements coming for more pipeline views other than leads and loans? Harish, would you like to cover some of the advancements that are in the near future?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. And I think somebody asked the last name of the borrower. So, so ARIVE is a little bit opinionated. It tracks statuses in a certain way. And we hear like, that's not how you operate. Everybody has different milestones and different. So that's a big enhancement we've been working on for like 2-3 months. You know, as I said, we have tried many options. So we are going to roll out enhanced pipeline views, and you know, users coming from KLX point, they're used to folders and my prospects and my loans, my adverse loans. So that's the direction we are going to go, where we make it really easy for you to figure out where the file is. If a prospect goes back to a lead, how do you do that? It's not very easy to do currently in ARIVE. You'll archive it, do something else. So that's kind of the direction, like giving you these, you know, buckets of loans where you can put them in, and then letting you add labels. Like you can put custom labels, so, you know, docs are pending, or, you know, something happened. So that way you can easily filter specific loans so that life becomes easier, if you will. So that's the direction, like, you know, making it more easier to navigate, you know, pipelines at scale. So that's definitely going to happen before we close the year. And then obviously there is a big push on tracking and task management, especially from the processing side. That's a complex, you know, we don't want to build another checklist. We were trying to do something better than that. So that's something, again, it may not happen this year, but that's another improvement on how do you track, you know, action items for people. And so if things fall through the crack, ARIVE tells you this has not happened. But yes, you know, pipeline reorganization is a big agenda item before we close the year. So.
And I know going into Q1, we have some big exciting things. Do you want to touch on some integrations that we're having Q1?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest, I shouldn't say biggest, but one of the asks people have, and sometimes when you ask them, there is no good reason, is the API support for CRM integration. So, but that comes up all the time. Like, how can I connect my X CRM to ARIVE? I think the way we see this is, what's your business use case? ARIVE can easily send, you know, milestone updates and update your clients and referral partners. So that's kind of the use case. I think what it is not doing good at is drip campaign management. Like when lead comes in, you want to nurture it, or if the loan closes, you want to send some campaigns. So that's something we are going to, I would say, start working towards in Q1, like releasing API so you can wire up your CRM if you have any going forward. So again, this is being actively researched right now. Given the scale we operate, we are processing like 50,000 loans a month or 60,000. I forget the count, it goes up every month. So just to make sure the system is stable, we are looking into how do we make sure our core users are not impacted, but they can connect their systems if they have any. That's going to happen early next year. That's again a pretty highly requested feature. How do I connect my CRM to ARIVE, if you will? So, and going forward, who knows? We may build our drip engine. We may not call it a CRM just so that we are on the safe side, but that's something we'll probably look and analyze where the demand is. So.
Absolutely. Someone had asked, is there an ETA on the functionality of processors being able to run dual AUS?
Processor should be able to run dual AUS. I don't think so. We locked them out. I think there are some, like if you pull credit as a loan officer, you should be authorized to look at that credit as a processor. But I don't remember if we put a block on a processor not being able. In fact, a lot of companies do that. They will structure the file, give it to the processor to run AUS, and then decide what to do next. So that should be working. If not, send an email to support@arrive.com and we can look at that. So
yeah, I actually had one the other day, Harish. It was with PRMG that my processor was in the file, and I wanted her to rerun something. It was already in underwriting, and she couldn't do it. I was just like, oh, maybe I just can't do it because they locked it. And I came back.
Yeah, no, I don't believe this might be a so there was some glitch last few days on the AUS anime. Yeah, so but yeah, if that is happening, we used to lock out certain functions, but the pushback is so hard. The processor wants to do this, and so, the idea is processor should process loans, but how mortgages are. Everybody can do anything. That's kind of what we have learned. So
wonderful. Somebody has asked, can you tell me if we can, sorry, I just went away. All right. Can you tell me if we can export custom reports as Calyx does? You can text back here or answers on video. Oh, they're just asking. Do either of you know?
I do.
Okay.
If it's probably one of the things that still can be worked on a little bit more. You can definitely export. So it's in the, it's under reports. You go to pipeline reports. And then you want to, there's a built-in pipeline report, and then there's a select filters. Select filters is where you want to go to make a custom report, to pull in the data fields you want. I would say, I would like to have the ability to save custom reports. I know something Harish and I had chatted about briefly at AIMFuse. And probably have the availability of more fields to choose from as well. For instance, Angelo couldn't pick, what was it today, Angelo, you couldn't get?
Yeah, their current primary, their current residence city would not come out of the because we're exporting out of and putting into us Bonzo, and you can't export. The city doesn't come through when you export. So we were actually, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk to Harish about that today.
So we started with 60 fields to begin with, just to give you early this year, and it's at 180 fields now. That's kind of how they say, oh, I am missing these, but give us a use case, and if the use case makes sense, and then I think it's a little bit clunky the way it is set up right now. And I'll be
and you and I had talked about it.
Right.
How honest you are about that. It's like you realize this is a weakness, and any weakness that you've identified gets fixed pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that is getting fixed. You'll be able to save these filters and say there is a CRM export, and here is my some other system I'm using. I'm going to just feed that in. I think Angelo, you brought up North Carolina. I don't know how many times. So yes, we are
yeah. He's probably going to kick me off the system if I say it one more time.
So these things, again, with everything else going on, how do we slice this into a meaningful release? Is kind of how this goes. So
I was the one that asked the question, and so for example, and the point, I'll pull a report that'll show me all my sources that so I can sort by, okay, this realtor sent me this many deals. So it's a pipeline report, from the past 3 years of all realtors that sent me a deal and grouping them together so that I can say, okay, these are the people that sent me deals, or I haven't gotten a deal from her in 2 years or whatever. So it's a pipeline report that will allow me to print the source.
Yeah,
referral
field is there. It'll put it in the Excel, and then you can do a grouping in Excel. But I think we hear you. So let me note it down. So
yeah, and that is there. If you go into report type and you say custom and you pick your attributes, there is a box for referral contact name, referral contact email. So those are exportable right now. Of course, you have to enter that data in, but if you're a Calyx guy, you get that. You just can't save that custom report right now.
That's a weakness right now. I think be able to save them so you don't have to go back in and reselect all those fields.
Correct.
Yeah, I've been paying for ARIVE for 3 months, and I've yet to even log in once. So I'm coming here to try to get involved.
Yes, yes, send a note to Brianna. We'll credit you for
Yeah,
that.
it's on me. It's not on you guys. It's on me. So.
It's
I'll say we,
jumping from Calyx into something else. It is scary because you've used it for so long, and
Yeah.
and Angelo and I were both, like we said, power users. Huge. I mean, I could do anything. I probably made more use of that program than anybody on the entire forum.
Yeah.
But the end was there. The end is, in fact, the end was back in March when they didn't switch over to ERLA like they should have.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They acted like that was a big surprise that actually happened. I have no idea what they were thinking. But yeah, they just didn't evolve. It's unfortunate, but good for Harish and the team, but they did not evolve. So, and I'm glad they didn't, because I never would have switched over and I'd still be working with that clumsy thing.
Yeah.
I feel like something I hear a lot from people is, they're nervous to make the switch, that transition when business is busy. How did you guys get other members of your team to utilize ARIVE? Like, what were some techniques that you used?
Brute force.
Yeah. It's a real common around here.
Well said.
Use ARIVE or you're fired. Okay.
I think Angelo and I are the same in that respect. In our office, we kind of try to take the lead when it comes to technology stuff, and try to figure it out ourselves, and then move on from there. Calyx people, I would say, there's some good video content out there on the ARIVE support website to get you started. Things that are probably will take you a little bit of time. I remember when I switched over, it was the selecting a product part. Like, that didn't make sense to me, because in Calyx, you say at the very beginning on that opening screen, well, this is a product I want. This is how I want it. ARIVE makes you price the product before you can do anything with it from a functionality standpoint. That part, I want to say it's quirky. It's just so different than Calyx. But once you've done it a few times, you're going to be right on it. But that's probably the one part that's kind of hard. Is just, I remember struggling with that. I don't know about you, Angela, but that was the weird part for me. Is like, well, what do you mean? How do I price this product? And then wait, it's better now because you had to go back and save and hit report. There was several other steps. It's more streamlined now. Now you just price and apply. But there's so many other things it's going to do so much better that you'll like as well. You just got to delve into it on the side, watch some videos, give yourself a few hours,
Right. 100% agree on that, Dan.
Yeah. The longer you've been on a Calyx, the harder it's going to be to kind of make that mental switch, just because of the way it works. Calyx works more like a database. ARIVE is more of a question answer format. So once you get used to that, like I said, you'll just fly on applications.
I mean, I've been
Steve, I
thinking
can help you too if you had questions. I'm more than happy to help you.
I appreciate it. I've been thinking about ARIVE like since it very first even came out, and then I was in New York, and Brianna said she wouldn't give me a drink at the happy hour in New York City for the thing unless I signed up. So I signed up. So since the United Wholesale New York thing that I got to go to the stock exchange thing, that's how long I've been signed up, and I don't even know my login. Not because you said it. I think Shelly or somebody even called me, and I've just been too busy. So
I think
And that
Angela also
happens.
mentioned changing loan systems is not something you do every day. That's kind of your bread and butter, and you're in it every day. So we appreciate the signing up, Steve. So we'll make sure we get back to you.
I have two processors, and they're both like fighting me. And I'm like, we're just doing it. So I just that's really the pushback is a lot of it. So is my process.
You'll actually like it, Steve. I would say the one thing you got to be ready for until Harish rolls out more the tracking workflow part is, and I would share one with you. I just built a spreadsheet for tracking of files, just the things I know that need to be tracked, like maybe like appraisal due dates, triggers, and if it's past a certain date, it turns that cell red as a flag, things like that I've done that kind of help to take the place of not having that kind of rudimentary checklist that Harish refuses to do because it's way too simple and he's going to build something that's way better. But it'll get you by in the short term, and I'd be more than happy to share that spreadsheet with you.
I appreciate it.
There is no fun in doing simple things, Dan, right? So you want to take on some bigger challenges. That's how we see it.
But I think you said, Dan, I could do it your way or I could do it the way.
The Realtor Portal. I mean, I don't know if Dan, I think we talked about a little bit about that, but my a lot of my realtors, that was a great add-on. Just hey, send them a link and it's awesome. You just plug it in there. Don't call me on the weekend. Or you can if it's serious, but I think that's a great add-on to just to be an LO, because I don't know how many times I get calls on the weekends. Hey, can you update the pre-call letter? I'm like, oh God. So that's a great feature, and I love the way. I know we didn't talk about features too much. My favorites. I like it being able to send. I can go in there and pick 3 different programs, products. I can change loan amount, sales prices. I can go in there and hit send. It puts the code in there and it automatically sends them an email. I think that's fun. It saves so much time.
It sends 3 fee sheets.
You can add fees, edit fees. You can edit those, and it'll put each fee sheet underneath the loan comparison. So like 3 side by side, 2 side by side, or just 1, however you want it. But it'll put the fee sheets there. It's phenomenal.
And you can also compare if you're competing. So you can put a comparison code. It'll gray them out and say why is your better in a nice colored format. So
right. Yeah, I actually had somebody, a client that I started a refi for, I did a new purchase for this year, that I did something for her last year. And when I sent her my new form, the comparison and the fee, she's like, oh wow. She's like, that's really pretty. I really you've stepped up your game. I'm like, yeah, I stepped up my game. I got off of old Caleb's point. Got it into the 21st century.
Yeah, Angela, you guys showed me some. I've yet to use the Realtor Portal, and Harish and I talked about this. Is I use another app for now. I would like to see that Realtor Portal, exactly what's going on there, but be offered to the buyers, so that the client can get in there and generate their own pre-approvals, and then they're not even bothering the realtors when they're shopping. They can go out and look at a property on Zillow or wherever they're looking. And then, I said the Z word, sorry about that. Wherever they're looking at things, they could then go in, type in their own information, figure out they don't qualify, and they don't even bother the realtor in the first place. So I'd like to see maybe that one more thing added to that. And then I could drop that other third-party app that I don't want to use. I'd rather just use for reasons.
Yes, so Dan, I think you gave me this feedback at Fuse as well. So we are looking at how borrowers can self-service, same as Realtor. That should happen again before we close the year. So borrowers you can set up numbers or limits or guardrails, and then, if borrowers are within that range, they'll get the letter. Otherwise, they'll be asked to contact you. So that's
something. Why do you listen to me? I don't even understand.
Yeah, that's a good. You make some good points. So that's.
All right, guys, so we have about 20 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions in the crowd that they would like to unmute themselves and ask? All right. Would you guys like to speak on anything else of how ARIVE has aided to the growth of your business and just streamlining things for you?
Doc management.
Yeah.
That's been huge.
I was right about to say that.
So much grief about keeping paper, but honestly, with Calyx, their doc management was so horrible, it was hard not to print paper, because at some point you'd have to scan it in. It was in a really good way. He was using Flowify, so I think that's what he was utilizing to be paperless. I was not. So now, I do virtually no paper. The only paper we keep now, I should put that back. Todd, man, my partner still has an office full of paper. We're trying to convert it over. I myself have went totally paperless, other than literally the approval sheet that comes in from the lender that we keep as paper, so we kind of have an idea what the conditions are. And I know that's one of the things slowly, Harish with his next development, we'll be able to put those conditions inside of ARIVE somehow, and then we won't have to worry about keeping a piece of paper to track those conditions. But the doc management, love it, saves so much time. Now utilizing paper just slows me down, honestly.
I'm going to add to that, Dan, because I just scrolled back to the text message about it was March 9th or something, and you said something about, and you sent me a picture with your files, and I go, what in the ever living F are you doing with paper files? I am gonna slap the crap out of you when I see you. Get rid of it. That's circa 2005.
I'm pulling up things from the ARIVE views about Angelo now. No, I'm not. No, he's right. He's right. It took me a while to
what are you doing?
But I'm gonna, you can give Todd help, man.
But no, it's phenomenal. It's really, I still have a box of paper that I bought 3 years ago, and I I've been slowly converting. I started using Flow5, and now the document editor is phenomenal. You can go in there, change things around, make notes. I try. What's that?
The document editor.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, and it's all in one.
I hop in. You'll love this, Stephen, if you're still there. But you can pull in your PDFs, view them, and then let's say you're viewing a bank statement. You can go in there, document editor, and you can type earnest money in big bright yellow letters, and you could have an arrow pointing to the earnest money check on the bank statement, and then save it that way, and it goes to the underwriter like that. You don't have to print it off and circle the earnest money, and then save it back. You do all that. So I type notes all the time over documents. I put
On the document.
arrows, all that stuff.
Condition number, you put condition number in.
Yeah, we could do another thing on that sometime. But yeah, I have a way that I do mine. He's got Harish system has a kind of a document ready section, and what we do is everything we're working on is in there, and then it's whatever we've edited, whatever we've done. After we submit it, we zip all that together into one file called initial submission. So it just sits there, and we know that's what we initially submitted.
But I do that now on my network drive. Every customer, so I have the Jones file, and I have a folder called initial submission, and I make a new folder called conditions. And that's how we do that same concept.
That's how we used to do it. Now you do all that inside the ARIVE system.
Right.
And the beauty of this is it's all cloud-based too. So it doesn't matter where you're at. You can just pull up your ARIVE, and everything you work on is in there. And then when we're done, then we just zip everything together, all those submissions, the final mortgage commitments, whatever we need. We zip that all into one file, and then we archive that. And we keep the file in Harish's system as well, ARIVE. So now we've got redundancy. We've got the save file on our servers, and we have the save file on his cloud-based system as well.
So if you want to look at that initial submission zip that you made, are you going out of ARIVE to unzip it and open it, or are you still?
No, you just pull it. You just look at. So when I shouldn't say zip. I should say merged.
Yeah, right.
After we submit, we take all those files that we submitted and we merge them into one document named initial submission, and then we can view it within his system. And then when we're all done, we merge all of them together. And then we take and just put that into an archive folder, and then we have that redundancy of systems. We use those files.
Like Adobe Acrobat Professional has combined, so it's like the combined feature.
Right.
So we build the combined feature in ARIVE, so you can select these docs and click, so you don't have to go to Adobe. I mean, so that's the goal. Like you can do all this in the system, and then there is a tag. I'm not sure, Dan, if you're using that, you can call it initial submission. There's a flag on the document, so you can set that. So then you can say, show me all the docs that are supposed to go in PTD1, PTD2. So
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it works really clean. I know what you're talking about, Harish. We just like to, once the submission's made, we just like to pack them all together.
Sure, no, everybody works their own process.
Yeah, it works good for us.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. It is somewhat flexible, and it just keeps getting better. So.
I had a quick question, if I can bounce in for a second. Not related to that, but the 3.4 files that we're sending up to, like, even UWM or HomePoint or Lakeview, all of these people, for some reason, there's always, and it's not just from ARIVE, it's from, even Point or even from Fannie Mae system. These things are not being read correctly. Is there anything that we could do to get these wholesalers to make sure that these 3.4 files are read correctly? Because I looked at the XML file after I'd sent it, and the mortgages all came through. The person had 3 mortgages. They all came through in double to UWM. what the heck is going on here? Doesn't anybody have a good system for reading 3.4 files?
That happens to my income. It usually doubles and triples on the income. Just going to delete it. Yeah,
Which is a good
that's
thing,
weird.
right? Income higher is good. I'm just kidding.
Higher
Higher income are always, that's what you want in mortgage, higher income. But I think John asked that question. I used to be on the underwriting side. That's why I'm saying that. So this is a great question. So the issue is this: Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac defined a standard called MISMO 3.4. It's a pretty laborious standard, and then they left everybody to say implement this. So we got it, lenders got it, Fannie Mae's developers got it. So unfortunately, the consistency does not exist. The way we interpret that standard may be a little different from how UWM is doing it, but we are trying to work with them. That's the best. I'm also talking to Fannie Mae about. So this is a big change. This happened like in 20 years, if I'm right. So 3.2 was pretty small in size. It was pretty, it was a little. The notation was odd, but it was standard. You cannot add anything more or less, if you will, right? So that's the reason there was consistency, which is critical. So if you put something in one system, export it, it should reflect accurately. But because 3.4 is so new, and all the developers have their own interpretation of how to parse the file and which system tags to use, that's why you see these discrepancies. Home Point will not interpret something, UWM will. So and that's a part of learning curve. This is a new standard. It got live like what, March 1st or early March. So hopefully these errors will get reduced in coming months and years as we get a better grip of what's going on. But it's a great point you made. We struggle so much. We have all these exports. If you have looked at ARIVE, there's a DU export, there is a LPA export, there is a doc export. And the reason we have these is there is, if I want to send a file to DU, for example, manually, there is no consistency on how they will process it. So, but great question. I think the industry as overall is struggling with this. How do we make everybody has same interpretation of the format, if you will? So
Harish, Fannie doesn't have a straight mapping file to map all the fields?
Yeah, unfortunately, if you ask them, say, yeah, here is 3.4, but it's a collection of specifications or standards and elements there are extension elements you can stick in. So it's not as simple as 3.2, and it took them 10 years to develop it. So, but I think we have all agreed amongst the different bodies that more needs to be done to standardize them, and they're looking into it. Again, we are not a part of that committee, but they have a committee that is trying to further make sure everybody interprets these in the same way. And the challenge for us is, let's say UWM's developers, they're a big lender. They make a change. Somebody was telling me, I forget the field name, construction cost, if I'm correct, for a refinance. It was used to work correctly. Suddenly it stopped working. I said, we didn't change anything, but somebody on the lender side made a change to where they are looking for that. When was the house constructed and the cost of construction. So I think then we had to struggle to put it in a different place, and then it started working again. Again, this is subject to interpretation. That's kind of where we see the current challenges. But great point, John. I think I fully support what you're saying. So.
Does anybody have any more questions? We've got a little over 5 minutes before we're wrapping it up.
So I want to make a point, Brianna. We have the coolest T-shirts and coolest swag, I believe, and she put them together. So all credit to her. So if you are part of ARIVE, you get these nice pink T-shirts, which we believe are ultra cool. So.
Well, I just want to thank you, Harish, just for everything that you guys have done. Just the support, not only just the implementation of everything, just the support that you guys give on the forum. And if we send you guys a message or something, you guys are on top of it. Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harish, for everything you've done in this project. It's just been phenomenal. And hey, if you have any ARIVE pants, I could use some. I warned you, Brianna.
They're gonna be like those velour jumpsuits where it says ARIVE across your rear, so that when you walk around.
Perfect.
Then he is the short shorts. Short shorts. ARIVE short shorts.
There we go. All right, real quick, we do have a question. Are we able to send multiple PDF with one DocuSign request?
Yeah, when the signing go out, I'm not sure what exactly is the question, but go ahead. Sorry, so Angelo.
No, I think because it basically goes through DocuSign, so I think so. Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I don't use the DocuSign capabilities of ARIVE yet. I use Adobe. And I export out myself as PDF, then I independently place my signatures for now. I'm not a big DocuSign fan. There's ridiculously expensive. But I know that there's a lot. I know you can do a ton with it. You know so much more about it than I would, Angelo. It's one of the things that I just don't utilize.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. So Dan had made a point. I think you pointed out ARIVE should build your own e-sign. I think you had a big post a few months ago. So that will get. So I think we are looking into that. Like we are, how do we? The challenge is the lenders need to accept our signatures. So that's something we'll have to watch out for. But other than that, this has come up many times. DocuSign gets expensive when you scale. It starts out small, but when you are sending more envelope, that's when they come back and make the price. But that's the only option available. I think what we might do is instead of adding another e-sign vendor, we might look into developing our own e-sign technology. That may be less effort from overall scheme of things. So, but that's probably next year, mid next year is what we're looking at. So
again, another example of you listening to us complain. Way to go. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we'll see how I think the adoption by lenders and acceptance. So if we sign something, the underwriter should say yes. So that's kind of the area we are analyzing, what kind of cryptographic stamps we need to put. So again, there is no firm commitment yet, but that's an area we are exploring, like if that can be done. So Angelo, did I cut you off? Sorry, you were also saying.
No. Just saying it's a pretty seamless integration with DocuSign. You don't have to have separate accounts. You just use the company account and put them in each individual users credentials, and it sends it out. And if you need to go to DocuSign, it's seamless for us when we use it. We don't use it a ton, but if we need to, it's just really point click.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Before we close out, for everybody that is on the call, thank you for joining. If you ever need any help from anyone at ARIVE, please utilize our email support@arrive.com. We also have a great Facebook group called ARIVE Mortgage Brokers. It's where brokers all go in, connect, help each other get to know the platform, submit feedback. We also have live chat within the portal. We are always here to help you in any way that we can. So reach out with any questions that you have.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.